Okay, let's unpack this. You've brought us just a fantastic stack of sources here covering networking and personal branding.
Yeah, quite a bit to dig into.
Definitely. And our mission for this deep dive is really to cut through all of it, pull out the absolute key nuggets,
Yeah,
give you a real shortcut to getting up to speed on this, well, pretty crucial topic.
exactly. We want to go beyond just the surface level.
Yeah,
We'll explore not just why networking is so fundamental, but actually look at the different kinds of networks you might have
right.
and the kind of the nitty-gritty of how you actually build and nurture those connections. And yes, definitely dive deep into the absolute critical importance of your personal brand.
How you show up, basically.
Yeah, how you show up in the world, whether that's online or face-to-face, it all counts.
And here's where I think it gets really interesting. The material you shared is just packed with practical examples.
Real stories.
Yeah, real stories. We'll pull those out, how people have succeeded, and crucially, where they've maybe stumbled a bit.
Failures are often the best teachers, right?
They really are. We'll look at the kind of surprising science behind first impressions, how to navigate sometimes wildly different cultures.
Which is a big one today.
Huge. And get down to really actionable tips for everything from, walking into a crowded room to actually crafting a powerful online presence.
So what does this all mean for you listening? By the end of this deep dive, our goal is really that you'll have a much clearer picture, more intentional maybe.
Yeah, intentional and strategic. That's the idea. How to approach networking and personal branding.
It shouldn't feel like this awful chore. Done right, the sources really show it can become a natural and genuinely rewarding part of your professional life and personal life too, actually.
Yeah, let's dive in then.
Please do it.
Fantastic. So right off the bat, the sources really hammer home that networking is just fundamental. It almost feels intuitive, doesn't it?
It does.
Like instinctively knowing the right mix of people you want at a dinner party to get, interesting conversation going.
That intuition points to something deeper, I think. The material highlights that networking is, it's a fundamental part of being human. It's woven into almost every meaningful daily interaction we have.
Right.
And it taps directly into our core emotional needs. That need to belong, to feel safe, valued, even in control. Networks provide that essential scaffolding for us.
And thinking about the modern workplace, especially those like matrix structures,
Right.
where you're often relying on influencing people rather than just telling them what to do,
Oh, definitely.
the sources make a really compelling case. If you aren't actively investing in building connections, you're simply going to, struggle to get things done effectively.
That's such a critical point. And it's not just about how you perform now. It's vital for your career progression down the line. Did
Yeah.
you see the stat in the sources? Around 2/3 of people find their next job through their network.
2/3. Wow, that's huge.
It's massive. And the historical example they used, Paul Revere versus William Dawes, remember their famous rides?
Vaguely, yeah. Revere was the successful one.
Right. Revere, the silversmith, had this incredibly dense, really well-cultivated social network. It stretched across different groups, mechanics, patriots, even taverns were key hubs for him. So when the time came, he mobilized a huge militia really quickly.
Okay.
Dawes, though, took a different route, had a network that was, less diverse, maybe less active, and his efforts were much more limited compared to Revere's.
So Revere wasn't just lucky.
Not at all. He was, as the sources actually put it, a social network broker. He knew how to connect people and leverage those connections.
Okay, so it's fundamental, it's clearly impactful, taps into our deepest needs, but, and this is a big but, the sources are very clear, it's not just random activity. This needs a plan.
Absolutely. This isn't about, collecting business cards like they're baseball cards or chasing thousands of, frankly, meaningless LinkedIn connections.
Right. Quality over quantity.
Exactly. The material really emphasizes the need for clarity. You have to be crystal clear about your purpose, like, why are you networking right now? And be specific about who you're targeting. You need to understand how to make those connections that actually align with your goals. And then, crucially, put that plan into action.
And knowing the sort of unwritten rules,
Yeah.
the social graces involved, that feels huge.
It is. Doing it badly can really damage your reputation, but doing it well, the sources describe it as wonderfully rewarding.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's kind of like any smart investment, really. The payback isn't always immediate or obvious, but investing your time and effort strategically, it definitely pays off in the long run.
Makes sense.
The sources even include this slightly exasperated observation from a recruiter They get these intelligent, capable people coming to them looking for a new job.
Okay.
But these people can't even articulate what sector or type of job they're looking for. That's a network conversation that's basically doomed from the start.
Right. You're asking for help, but you don't know what help you need.
Exactly. You have to know what you want before you could effectively ask your network for help finding it. Your message needs focus.
That really resonates. So, how do the sources suggest we bring some structure to this whole concept of a network? They talk about classifying it, prioritizing it.
Yes, they break it down into three main sections, although we'll add a slight variation based on the reading.
Okay.
First, there's your personal network.
Okay.
This is the one that supports your personal growth, helps you learn new skills, maybe explore interests outside of work. There's that great example of Jane.
Oh, yeah, the costume business.
Right. Her mother's wide-ranging personal network unexpectedly helped her launch that. This network also provides really crucial emotional support, like Anna, who relied on her personal contacts to help her settle into life in Hong Kong.
So it's friends, family, old schoolmates.
Exactly. Contacts from all parts of life. School, university, social clubs, even former colleagues you stay friendly with. And crucially, it subtly impacts your overall personal brand, even if it's not explicitly professional.
Got it. Okay, then there's the internal network.
Right. The connections within your own organization. This is absolutely essential for getting things done, especially when you need, influence rather than direct authority.
Like in those matrix structures we mentioned?
Precisely. The sources tell the story of Brian. Remember him? He moved into a new sector, new company. By quickly and intentionally building a strong internal network across different departments, he and his team managed to over-deliver on savings targets. They navigated initial resistance purely through influence.
Wow. And it's easy just to stick with your immediate team, isn't it?
So easy. But the material really stresses the need to look wider than that. Much wider.
Why or how?
Well, don't underestimate the value of connecting with people in your boss's peer group. The sources mentioned Gil.
The peacock suit story.
That's the one. She realized she needed advocates for her ideas beyond just her direct line manager. She had to, as the story goes, put on her peacock suit to get visibility and crucial support from influential senior colleagues. That broader internal network was absolutely key for her career progression.
Okay, so personal, internal, and the third core category is the external network.
Right. These are the people outside your organization and not necessarily part of your close personal circles.
This is where people often struggle, maybe.
I think so. It can feel a bit more undefined. The purpose here is broader gaining knowledge, different perspectives, market intelligence. This includes suppliers, customers, and importantly, former colleagues who've moved on your alumni network.
Suppliers? Really?
Yeah. Suppliers, for instance, can be these unexpected sources of industry trends or even future job leads. It's about thinking broadly.
Like the Scottish Enlightenment example.
Exactly. Those thinkers in the 18th century highlighted in the material they deliberately built external networks in clubs and taverns. They fostered debate and innovation by connecting with people outside their immediate fields.
It's fascinating how long this has been important. And you mentioned a slight variation.
Yes, the sources also implicitly describe a kind of hybrid, the external-internal network. Think of people outside your organization like key suppliers or crucial customers who are absolutely critical to your daily job function.
Ah, okay. So you interact with them constantly during work hours.
Right. Almost as if they were internal colleagues, but they technically exist outside your company structure. Managing those relationships effectively is just fundamental to doing your job well.
So we've got these categories. Now, the practical side, building and maybe more importantly, maintaining this network. What about size? Is there an ideal number?
Well, the material does touch on that. It brings up the anthropologist Robin Dunbar's research.
Dunbar's number, right, about 150.
Around 150, yeah. That's supposedly the cognitive limit for maintaining stable, meaningful social relationships where you kind of know how everyone relates to each other. The brain has a bandwidth limit, basically.
So aim for around 150, 200 maybe?
The sources suggest that's a manageable number to aim for, at least when you're starting to think about it strategically. But the real key isn't the exact number, it's the prioritization.
Okay. How?
Classifying your contacts, say, into priority 1, 2, and 3, based on their importance to you and your current goals.
Why? And then managing how often you connect based on that priority.
Precisely. You decide how often you realistically need to connect to keep the relationship warm. Maybe say monthly for your P1s, quarterly for P2s, twice a year for P3s. The sources even suggest a kind of guideline ratio,
Oh, yeah.
like maybe 1.2.1 for P1.P2.P3 within your total network.
Yeah.
So for that network of 150, that might look like uh, roughly 38 top-tier contacts,
Mhm.
75 second-tier, and 38 third-tier. Just a rough guide.
And keeping in touch doesn't always mean big meetings or coffees, does it?
Not at all. That's a really important point. It's about staying visible and relevant to them. It could be a quick email, checking in, a phone call, engaging with something they posted on social media. It's about consistency over intensity, maybe.
That makes sense. And networks change, right? They're not static.
Totally fluid. You'll
Mhm.
constantly be adding new people. Some relationships will naturally fade or change priority as your goals evolve. You have to keep reassessing.
So the advice is start small, manage that core group well, then grow.
Exactly. Get good at managing a core group in each category before trying to expand too quickly and getting overwhelmed. And please, the sources emphasize this, actively seek out and include diverse people.
Avoid the echo chamber.
Yes. Avoid creating a network of clones who all think exactly like you. You need people who will challenge your perspective, bring different ideas. Don't even discount competitors necessarily. Former colleagues who've moved to rival firms can be valuable sources of market intelligence. Same goes for suppliers.
It does sound like potentially a lot to keep track of, though.
It can be, especially initially. The sources do mention that, tools exist now. There's an app mentioned, BizPrompt,
Mm.
specifically designed to help manage contact lists, set reminders, track follow-ups based on that prioritization system you set up.
Helpful. Which brings us neatly to a really crucial point. And the sources say a lot of people fall down here. Following up.
Ah, this is where so many potentially great connections just wither on the vine. You have a great conversation, maybe even make a commitment. I'll send you that article or I'll connect you with so-and-so, and then crickets.
Guilty as charged sometimes.
Yeah, we all are. But the sources are really adamant. You must reinforce the connection and any commitments made.
And do it quickly.
Ideally, yes. A brief email or even a text message shortly after meeting is often enough. It should highlight any promises made, whether it was something you offered to do or something they kindly offered.
Okay.
And critically, if someone introduced you, always remind them of that common connection. It anchors the interaction.
There's that great example in the material, Jim's follow-up email to Helen. What makes that one so effective?
It's quite tactical, actually.
Yeah.
Jim reminds Helen of Andy, their mutual connection. He gently jogs her memory about her offer to introduce him to her technical director.
Mm.
And he reminds her of his reciprocal offer to send her a research document. But here's the really key takeaway. Notice how he ends it. He suggests a future contact point, but he phrases it as a statement. I'll call you in 2 or 3 months' time.
Not asking permission.
Exactly, not may I call you or would it be okay if. By phrasing it as a statement, he subtly places the onus on her to object if she doesn't want the future contact. It makes it your proactive step to follow up later.
That's smart. It puts you back in the driving seat for the next interaction. And online tools can help with staying in touch, too.
Absolutely. Just engaging with your key contacts on LinkedIn. Commenting thoughtfully on their updates or sharing their relevant posts keeps you visible. Setting up Google Alerts for news about key contacts or their companies is another great tip.
So you have a reason to reach out.
Exactly. It provides natural, timely hooks for follow-up emails. Hey, saw the news about your company's expansion. Congratulations. Finding that common ground, whether it came up in your initial conversation or through a bit of quick research, is essential for creating those personalized follow-up hooks that don't feel forced.
Speaking of connections and introductions, the sources talk about a specific type of person, the connector.
Ah, yes, connectors. These are those people who just seem to effortlessly introduce others. They're always thinking, oh, you should talk to so-and-so, or these two people would really benefit from knowing each other.
And their motivation isn't usually, immediately transactional. They're not expecting something right back.
Often not, no. Their motives are frequently quite selfless, actually. They operate with a kind of underlying trust that by being helpful, now by being givers first, as the terminology goes, reciprocity will likely follow naturally over time. It's a longer game.
So what makes them good at it? What are the traits?
Well, the sources identify a few key things.
Mm.
They tend to have a genuine interest, and a deep curiosity about other people, like
Hmm.
what truly drives them, what are their backgrounds, their diverse interests. They're naturally well-connected themselves, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And they deeply understand those unwritten rules of the game reciprocity, the importance of creating value for others.
Mm-hmm.
They're often proactive, offering help or connections first, preemptively, before being asked.
And creative, too.
Yes, creative, able to see connections that others might miss, joining the dots between seemingly unrelated people or making slightly, unorthodox introductions that turn out to be incredibly valuable down the line.
So the advice is essentially build up your credit in the network by being a giver.
That's the core message. Before you ever find yourself needing to ask for a big favor, build up that reservoir of goodwill by being genuinely helpful to others in your network.
And the payoff.
It's immense, according to the sources. People you help become your informal ambassadors, your champions. That leads to powerful word-of-mouth recommendations. And critically, always, always follow up on any referrals you were given, thank the person who referred you, and let them know you acted on it. Closing the loop is key.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly, but it's all connected. Let's talk about something that impacts literally all of this. Your personal brand and the sheer power of first impressions. The sources couldn't be clearer on this. First impressions matter immensely.
They really, really do, and way faster than we probably think. The material delves into some of the science behind it, mentioning the adaptive unconscious.
Right, that split-second judgment thing.
Exactly. Those rapid, automatic, almost effortless mental processes that form judgments in a fraction of a second, often way below our conscious awareness. It has this huge, outsized influence on the very first impression you make.
Which basically means perception is reality in that initial moment. How you look, how you sound, it's critical.
The sources cite that often referenced rule from Morabian.
The 55387 rule.
That's the one. Approximately 55% of the impact of your initial message comes from the visual, your facial expression, your body language. Then 38% is vocal, your tone, pitch, speed. And only a tiny 7% is the actual verbal content, the words you use.
Wow. Only 7% for the words.
Initially, yes. It just underscores how much that nonverbal communication matters right at the start. Your appearance, even your accessories, they all contribute. And adaptability is also key.
How so?
Being able to subtly adjust your language, your tone, even your appearance sometimes, to match the environment and the person you're meeting. It helps build rapport much faster. There's that anecdote about Shona.
Oh, with the shoes at the factory?
Yeah. Feeling completely out of place in her smart shoes during a factory tour.
Yeah.
Feeling uncomfortable like that clearly impacted her confidence and how she came across. It's about dressing appropriately for the context.
So body language makes up a huge chunk of that 55% visual. What should we be really mindful of there?
Well, eye contact is huge. Make sure you distribute it fairly evenly if you're talking to a group. Don't just lock onto one person. Facial expressions, particularly a genuine smile, it's a universal rapport builder. And posture, projecting confidence with open posture versus closed-off defensive signals.
Right.
But of course, always be mindful that cultural nuances can significantly impact how all of these signals are interpreted. What's normal in one culture might be rude in another.
We'll definitely circle back to culture, but then there's written communication emails, texts. That's tricky because you lose all those visual and vocal cues, don't you?
It's really challenging. And emails and texts are, let's face it, permanent records that can be easily forwarded or screenshotted.
Mm.
The tone can be notoriously difficult to gauge correctly.
Yeah, easy to misread an email?
Very easy.
Mm.
And the acceptable tone can vary wildly between different organizations or industries. Sources give a pretty strong warning against using, like, text speak or overly casual abbreviations in business contexts.
Good advice.
Absolutely. When in doubt, the suggestion is to err on the side of slightly more caution or formality, especially when you're communicating externally or with new contacts for the first time. The examples from Andy's emails in the source material show exactly this, how the same message can feel too curt to one person or maybe overly formal to another, depending on the relationship and context. It's about finding the right register.
And this idea of brand extends massively to our online persona now, doesn't it? Our digital footprint.
Completely inseparable today. What do search results show when someone Googles your name? Is it consistent with the professional image you want to project?
That Danny example was interesting.
Yeah, the Jekyll and Hyde guy.
Yeah.
Stark contrast between his professional demeanor at work and his very boisterous, maybe unfiltered social media life online. That inconsistency creates ambiguity, maybe even mistrust. It certainly didn't help him professionally.
And being mindful of professional conduct even when you're technically off the clock but socializing with colleagues or clients? especially with smartphones everywhere.
Oh, absolutely crucial. The sources recount Samantha's cautionary tale. Remember, she was on holiday gossiping about work issues to people she just met. Someone overheard. Somehow it got into a newspaper.
And she lost her job.
She lost her job over it. In this age of mobile phones and instant social media sharing, actions and words outside the official work environment can have serious, immediate professional consequences. Your online actions, your offline actions when perceived by work contacts, they are all part of your brand and reputation now.
Scary thought, really, which flows perfectly into needing to craft your elevator pitch.
Yes, absolutely essential. That concise, compelling self-introduction you can deliver in the time it takes to ride an elevator, ideally, what, 30 to 60 seconds?
Needs to be clear, concise, engaging. But what else makes a good one?
The sources add enthusiastic, dynamic, and interesting. And crucially, it must be consistent with that personal brand we were just talking about. And avoid jargon or acronyms that your audience might not understand. Keep it simple and clear.
And limit the key messages. Keep it focused.
Yes, ideally stick to maybe 3 key messages. That makes it memorable, both for you delivering it smoothly and for the person hearing it. Remember, the primary goal isn't to tell them your entire life story.
Right, it's to pique their interest.
Exactly. So they want to ask more, learn more. And here's a smart tip from the sources. Try ending your pitch by asking them a question.
Turn it back to them.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It immediately shifts the focus, shows you have genuine interest in them, not just broadcasting about yourself, and it naturally initiates a two-way conversation. The material uses Stuart Creighton's structure as a pretty solid framework for building your own pitch.
And what about the example of what not to do?
The design ninja. Jonathan Runcorn introducing himself like that. It just caused confusion, awkward questions about what on earth that meant, who his boss was, this didn't work. Your pitch needs to quickly and clearly communicate who you are and what you do in a way that's understandable and ideally relevant to the person you're speaking with. No confusion.
Okay, so beyond those first impressions and the initial pitch, managing your reputation is clearly an ongoing process, not a one-off thing.
Absolutely key. The sources really underscore this. Reputation takes years, sometimes a lifetime to build, but it can be damaged, seriously damaged, in milliseconds. Perception, again, is reality here. What people think about you is your reputation.
And it needs to be consistently good everywhere, right? Not just within your close circle, but outside too.
Exactly. What do people say about you when you're not in the room? Colleagues, clients, people in your wider network. Does that word of mouth, that buzz about you, align with how you want to be perceived?
How do you even know?
Well, the sources suggest actively seeking feedback. You could ask trusted contacts directly or use more formal 360-degree feedback processes if they're available in your organization. The point is, you need an honest assessment. You can't manage what you don't understand.
And that online reputation we discussed keeps coming up.
It's inseparable. Your LinkedIn profile, your Twitter feed if you use it professionally, even your Facebook presence if it's public or connected to work contacts. What overall picture do they convey? As the material highlights with Joe.
The guy whose LinkedIn comment cost him business.
Right. His political comment in a group led directly to a canceled business pitch. Your online voice must align with your desired professional brand. Online actions have very real-world professional consequences.
And again, the sources mention tools like BizPrompt can help manage your online contacts and provide reminders, integrating that digital presence into your overall networking plan.
Makes sense. Okay, moving on slightly, let's talk about maybe the art of connecting etiquette and social intelligence. This goes beyond just having a, sparkling personality. Your attitude matters immensely. Respect seems to be central to building lasting relationships.
Social intelligence, that sounds like one of those things you either have or you don't.
Not entirely, I don't think. The sources imply it's something that can be developed, or at least consciously improved. It's about creating comfortable, easy conversations. This often stems from having a genuine desire to understand people on a slightly deeper level. Maybe their beliefs, their values, their purpose. That's what fosters real rapport.
Simple things count too, right? Like responding to invitations, RSVPs.
Oh, absolutely crucial. Not replying or replying late is just seen as bad form. It signals unreliability. Remember Jackie's story?
The flimsy excuse for bailing on the client dinner.
Exactly. That kind of thing damages your reputation for dependability. The sources even make the point that sometimes it's worth attending events, even when you're not particularly keen. You just never know what opportunities or connections might arise unexpectedly. Show up.
Good point. Other basic etiquette points from the material.
Yeah, a few quick ones. Handshakes make them firm. Maintain good eye contact. Try to keep your right hand free so you're ready.
Hmm.
Introducing others, be proactive in connecting people you know. It builds your reputation as a helpful connector. And remembering names.
Always tricky.
It is. But try using people's names naturally during the conversation soon after you eat them. It helps embed the name in your memory and makes the other person feel acknowledged and valued.
And opinions. This feels like a potential minefield, especially these days.
It absolutely can be. The sources offer a really strong advice here. Try to avoid being overly opinionated, especially on potentially divisive topics like politics or religion, particularly when you're meeting new contacts or you're in a professional setting.
Like Steven's story, the one with the CEO.
Exactly. Stephen was really keen to impress the CEO he admired, but before even introducing himself properly, he jumps into a group conversation and, without realizing it, starts slating the CEO's publicly known opinions on a subject.
Ouch.
Big ouch. He burned that bridge before he even got close to crossing it.
Mm.
Remaining neutral, or at least steering clear of highly contentious topics with new or important contacts, is often just the safest and smartest strategy to avoid alienating people unnecessarily.
Makes sense. And even things like meal etiquette get a mention.
Just brief points, yeah, things like avoiding applying makeup at the dinner table or not chatting loudly while someone is giving a speech. It's all part of presenting a polished, socially aware, respectful persona. Little things add up.
Definitely. Okay, extending that awareness globally. Navigating cultural nuances is just critical, isn't it? Especially in today's interconnected world.
It's absolutely essential.
Hmm.
Culture profoundly influences communication styles, how body language is interpreted, basic behavior patterns, everything. You absolutely must adapt your approach when you're networking across different cultures. Assuming everyone operates like you is a recipe for disaster.
So how do you even begin to figure that stuff out? Where do you start?
Well, your existing network can be an invaluable resource here. Ask contacts who have experience working or living in that particular culture for insights and tips. But the sources stress that doing your own research is really non-negotiable.
So just relying on the old when in Rome isn't enough.
It's a starting point, maybe, but relying solely on that rule of thumb isn't enough. Proper research beforehand is much, much better. Don't make assumptions.
The material has that case study about Ian and the business card, right?
Yes, a classic example of a cultural faux pas that seems minor but isn't. In certain Asian cultures, presenting and receiving a business card is almost a small ritual. It's done with respect, often using both hands, taking time to read it.
And Ian just...
Ayn, completely unaware, just took the card casually and shoved it into his pocket without really looking at it, which was perceived as quite disrespectful. It highlights how easily seemingly minor actions can undermine you if you're ignorant of local cultural norms. Paying close attention to how others behave in that context is an absolute must. Observe.
So areas like greetings, handshakes versus bowing, punctuality expectations, communication style, direct versus indirect language, even things like personal space can differ significantly.
Hugely different, absolutely. The sources pretty accurately call it a potential minefield, and they're right, the best approach. Do your research beforehand, err on the side of caution and politeness when you're unsure, and carefully observe and take cues from the people you're actually interacting with. Be observant, be respectful.
Okay, let's get really practical now. How do you actually work a room, say, at a big networking event? For a lot of people, that's incredibly daunting. Just walking in can feel overwhelming.
It really can be. But the sources suggest that planning ahead dramatically reduces that anxiety. Do your homework, research who's likely to be attending, identify a few key people you'd ideally like to meet, and have your elevator pitch polished and ready.
Arriving early helps too.
That's a great tip from the material. Arriving early before the room gets really crowded and noisy is much less overwhelming. It gives you a chance to ease in, maybe have a few more relaxed one-on-one conversations before the main crush begins.
Okay, so you're talking to someone, what's the focus?
The sources suggest aiming for roughly a 60-40 rule. Spend about 60% of the time listening and 40% talking. Make the conversation primarily about the other person. Show interest in them.
How do you start a conversation, though, if you don't know anyone?
Look for someone standing alone they might welcome an approach. Or politely ask to join a small, open group. Excuse me, may I join you? Approach with a friendly, open posture. Offer a handshake. Make eye contact. Keep it simple and non-threatening.
And asking questions.
Use open-ended questions, the who, what, where, why, how questions, to encourage more detailed responses and keep the conversation flowing naturally. But avoid firing them off like an interrogation. Let the conversation breathe. And you can subtly change the subject if needed, if the conversation stalls or goes in an unhelpful direction.
Genuine curiosity seems to be a recurring theme throughout all of this.
It really is. There's that example of Marion.
On the course, learning about the dining staff.
Yeah. She made a real effort to learn the names and a few details about the dining staff, people sort of behind the scenes. It shows how demonstrating genuine curiosity about people, even those outside your immediate professional focus, can build unexpected rapport and provide memorable details for follow-up later.
Good point.
Preparing a few simple icebreakers can also help you initiate conversations more confidently. And having researched attendees beforehand gives you specific points to connect on, making you more memorable than just another random person they met. But remember Paul being trapped by Duncan.
Oh, the guy who talked nonstop for 3 minutes.
Exactly. A stark reminder of why balancing the conversation, focusing on the other person, and listening is so incredibly important. Don't be Duncan.
Noted. Okay, finally, the sources dedicate quite a bit of space, understandably, to leveraging online networking tools, social media, and especially LinkedIn.
Yeah, this is just increasingly crucial, isn't it? Online communication isn't just an add-on anymore. It's often central. First step. Choose the platforms that are actually relevant for your industry and your goals. Don't feel you need to be absolutely everywhere, quality over quantity again.
Right.
Then, allocate some dedicated time for online engagement. It doesn't happen by magic. And critically, check your privacy settings carefully on all platforms. Be aware of what's public.
And the content you share, what's the advice there?
The sources advise maintaining a consistently professional tone, especially on platforms like LinkedIn. Share relevant information, interesting industry news, upcoming events, valuable insights, and importantly, engage. Don't just be a passive scroller or only broadcast your own stuff.
Be part of the conversation.
Exactly. Comment thoughtfully on others' posts, share the relevant content when appropriate, participate in group discussions, be an active contributing member of the online community.
LinkedIn is definitely highlighted as the primary business tool, isn't it?
Absolutely preeminent for professional networking. Your profile needs to be complete, accurate, up to date, and really highlight your key skills and experience clearly. Think of it as your online CV and brand statement rolled into one.
In your profile picture.
It's your first visual impression online. It should be professional, clear, just you, ideally, and avoid distractions in the background. Remember the anecdote about the poorly cropped photo that showed someone's sequined party dress? Not the right look for LinkedIn.
Definitely not. And when connecting with someone new online.
Oh, the sources are very firm on this. Personalize your connection requests. Sending that generic default, "I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn" message is just weak. It's lazy and easily ignored.
So reference how you met or why you want to connect.
Exactly. The examples from Rupert and Donald in the material show this perfectly. A short, personalized message referencing how you met, perhaps who introduced you, or stating clearly why you want to connect is far, far more effective and likely to be accepted.
Same goes for asking for recommendations.
Yes, personalize those requests too. Explain why you're asking them specifically. And always offer to reciprocate. Offer to write one for them in return. Consistency is also key across all your online channels. Consistency in your tone and how frequently you post or engage. Build a coherent online presence.
And just like in the real world, we need to remember that recruiters, employers, potential clients, they are checking online profiles.
Constantly. As we mentioned with Joe's political comment costing him that business pitch, your online voice needs to mirror your live, professional, personal brand. Online actions can definitely have significant professional repercussions, positive or negative. It's all part of your reputation.
And tools like BizPrompt are mentioned again here as helping to manage those online contacts and reminders within your overall structured networking strategy.
Yes, bringing that important digital dimension into the structured, prioritized approach we discussed earlier. It all fits together.
So there you have it. Wow. This deep dive, drawing solely from the really rich source material you shared, has, I think, really unpacked the fundamental why and the practical how of intentional networking and building your personal brand. It's clear it's not just about being naturally outgoing or, getting lucky. It really requires planning, developing specific skills, and actually putting in consistent effort.
Absolutely. And all these insights, every example we've talked about, every single tip, they came directly from that wealth of material you provided. These aren't just abstract ideas floating around. They are concrete tools and strategies you can actually apply right now, starting today, in your own life and career journey.
Yeah, really practical takeaways. And maybe to leave you with a final thought, It comes from the sources, actually, which made the point that our personal networks can even inspire our personal development. So consider this.
Yeah.
Your network isn't just the static list of contacts you use to get things done, right? It's more like a living, breathing ecosystem of influence. And that ecosystem can fundamentally shape who you become, what you learn, how you see the world. So given that potential impact, how intentionally are you curating that influence on your own development? Something to think about.